Evening, everybody. Welcome to another. It's been a few weeks, but welcome to another edition of the NERL Thunder Live TV podcast. All right, we're joined by Terry Martin from Catterick Crusaders, Keith Christie from Wallsend Eagles, got Tom Shortell from Crampton Rockets, and James McGurk from Jarrow Vikings. So we're going to just tonight just spend a little bit of time previewing the semi-final. It's a semi-final of the North East Men's League. The winners from this weekend will go on to play in the grand final as a curtain raiser before Newcastle versus Bradford on the 14th of August. That will be streamed live on the Our League app. So again, a great bit of coverage for North East Rugby League. Just to kick it off, really, we'll just go around. We'll start with James at the top there. James, just a quick bit about Jarrow, kind of where you are the season, where you have come from at the start, where you are now. How do you think the season's went for you?
Well, I think first of all we started off pretty tough this season. We had it pretty tough with a bye in the first round, and then going to Catterick away. Got a big surprise off Catterick, and then what we've been working towards this season is just trying to get that 80-minute performance. So I think right now we're in a really good position to get that 80-minute performance. We've had a couple of weeks off, finishing top, so getting the bye in the first round of the playoffs, and then so we're looking forward to putting towards building towards that 80-minute performance this Saturday.
And you mentioned Catterick. What was at the start of the season? I know we spoke about it in previous seasons. What is it that's improved since then? Like, what is it? The training? Is it if he's just been gelling? Is it new players coming in?
Is this Catterick?
Just from that Catterick game, like how have you got the way on now? Like how have you found the improvements coming?
Yeah, well, this is my first season back with Jarrow, and I've seen some pretty big changes. With obviously Adam Houston coming in, being head coach, he's brought his training sessions are top quality now with him. We've got a few new faces as well. And the players gel well together. It's, everyone gets along, and we really just enjoy playing with rugby.
Yeah, Michael Houston not wanting you to give anything away there. So
Sorry, Mike.
No secrets from last night's training.
James, sorry, can I just put in just a quick one, sort of from Catterick, from your point of view about Catterick. I think they've played some really good rugby this year, and they've had some good players in. How did you feel like when you played them? That first time round. What were your thoughts on them?
To be honest, I think we really underestimated them. I think in previous seasons we've sort of not had such a tough game against them, but they brought a really really physical game with them, and I think we underestimated that, how physical they were going to be. They've got a lot of the Fiji boys playing with them, really fast, explosive guys. I think we struggled a bit. We just underestimated the physicality of the game.
I think personally, myself, and I don't know what the other lads think, this season has been the most competitive season and best season for a long, long time. And granted, it's been a bit cut short. I think kind of what rugby league's done in the North East, having the events, having the games we've been able to put on, is we've been able to show the standard of rugby. I know the guys from Catterick brought some players in. Cramlin, stepped up right up again. For me, a team that's put a lot of time and effort into rebuilding again, bring some good players who come through the system as well. And it's good to see good North East lads who've played, as juniors coming back in now, whether they've been away on holiday, representing their clubs, whether they've been away at the university, coming back in. You then add the likes of Edinburgh, hopefully for next season. You bring the likes of the guys from Catterick, who I think, not just sanitary, really good physical boys. All of a sudden, the North East competition is so physical, so fast, so hard. I mean, I think we went from Catterick to Jarrow to Cramlington. Sorry, Edinburgh, Cramlington, and the lads were just absolutely, it was great. Playing 4 really high intensity games. It's helped with, if I'm honest, coming at the back end of the season. It's really helped with prepare. We're getting that bit sort of edge about with, hopefully. Because I agree with what you said, James. We underestimated Cramlington massively. We were playing young lads who just knew rugby league. and that's a big difference at this level, especially when they're fit.
Yeah, I feel like the league's moved forward a lot. I've been playing at Catterick now for about 4 years, and this season I've been on the sidelines quite a lot, but just watching, it seems like the level of rugby has gone up massively, and at the top of the league, the competitiveness is much higher. It's like there's not just 2 teams looking for that final. Do you know what I mean? There's more teams. There's 5 teams now looking for that final. As a league, it's much better rather than 2 really strong teams and then the rest of the teams battle it out for the rest of the league. It just seems much better to me.
Massively. Tom, I know you're sitting outside Greg's at the minute on what's your thoughts been back on this season?
Yeah, I've played for Cramley a few years now, and the level has just gone up every year. It's changed a different level every time I've come back. It's really intense this year, and it's really close between a few teams.
So other than Wall's End, who else has been brilliant?
All the teams, to be fair, they've all been decent. They bring different things to the table and different things to offer, and it's a different challenge every week.
I mean, you talk about, the likes of Durham Demons, strong. Whitley Bay were putting competitive teams out. Yorm got a senior team out. It just bodes well for the area, I think, and I think that kind of, what we're going to talk about in a little bit, it's going to be good. And then you look at the 2 games we've got this weekend. You've got 4 teams, so essentially any one of them will go through and win it. There's not an out and out where predominantly you would have probably had somebody who you'd say, oh, well, they're going to win because they're going to win. But now I just think you cannot pick out the 4 teams.
Yeah, it could go anywhere, I think.
Definitely. Just Terry, just on that, I know at Cramlington we've met you a couple of times now. Once in the cup, and then in the last league game of the season. The score lines have been, they've been big scores. They've been big scores. I don't think we've seen you at your best. I think there's been a couple of times where maybe you've been missing a couple of players. It's ruled nicely for Cramlington on a weekend where you've had a big festival on. What difference will it be this week? What's your squad looking like?
So I think it's been quite difficult recently, especially the last game of the season with the Army Lawson Cup going on. A lot of our players go down and play on the Friday, and we just didn't have the numbers on that Saturday to play Cramlington. We had 19 people available and only 14 people tipped up. So that were a really hard battle. Even just when we got there and we started warming up, everyone's head were down. It were like, we're here. Cramlington play some great rugby league, a lot of knowledge of rugby league, which is great. We've got a lot of players at the minute that are transitioning from uni into league. And it's just getting them to keep their heads. And if we play structured rugby league, simple rugby league, I think that is what will get us the win. But it's just keeping people's heads on in the right part of the pitch, getting the numbers back. Obviously, there's a secret with numbers. Nobody wants to tell each other how they're doing. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. And I think all 4 teams have got something to offer.
Oh, look, without a doubt. If anyone watching at home as well wants to put their score predictions in the comments, we'll get them up on the screen. If you've got any questions as well, fire them in. Any of the guests, and we'll put them up as well. Just Keith as well on that one. What do you think? It's an added bonus as well with the final being broadcast live on the Hour League app with commentators and is that a bit of an extra sort of carrot, if you like, for the teams that are going to get to the final? It's that big game experience, isn't it?
It is big. I don't think it's the extra. You're talking about 4 clubs who want to win the final at the end of the day. You'd probably put them at a car park in Aldi and they'd play each other and kick the living shit out of each other. But for me, I think that's just testament to kind of the competition, the relationships that the clubs have got now. The big thing is for us, we've got that association with each other. Now, we respect the Jarrah lads, the Catterick lads, the Cramlington lads. Every team we've played, it's. I don't think it's about the occasion. I think for me, it probably is because I'm not playing because I'd like to do it in front of a big crowd. It's nice, romantic side of it. Reality is, these lot would play each other, like I say, on a park in the middle of anywhere. No one watching, as long as we've got a half decent referee, and they play each other. Yeah. So for me, it's like I love that thing though. Like, there's no Earls or Graces. There's no sort of the grand final or the cup final was fantastic. The Ollie was brilliant. Come across really well. We had a good crowd. I think there's a yes answer and there's a no answer. Yeah. But I think, regardless to what it is, sticking these teams against each other is just going to be sort of good for the Northeast in general. And I talk about value a lot, and I keep on repeating myself every bug will be bored, but it adds that to everything. It adds that, and the guys who come in this season, you talk about players coming in transition from rugby union. James is talking about new lads coming in all the time. They don't come to a club because they're struggling for numbers or it's not a great experience. They come because it's good. They come because they see how good rugby league is and how these clubs are really good. So for me, it's just in the right place. We've done the right thing. Northeast Rugby League, the committee's done really well, and the clubs have been supportive to it. And I think that's been testament to how good we are and how good it's been this season. Absolutely,
I think from my point of view, like whatever happens and whoever gets the final, the Northeast we need it to be a good game, because that is the showpiece and the eyes of. There's no live Sky game on that night, so we are the only live game broadcast on all the channels. So hopefully get a good viewership watching it, and it's big for the Northeast because the standard is growing every year, and to get a showpiece final that is of good quality, it can do wonders for the game, and that's really important there. Paul Clark's comment today, he thinks it'll only be 8 points either way. I'd agree with Paul. I don't think there'll be a lot in the games at all. And even looking at past Cramlett and Catterick scores, you can't take them into account. It'll be really, really close games. Just Tom, we'll just come to you. What are you expecting from Catterick this weekend? Are you expecting much different?
Yeah, we had a training session last night and we discussed about the possibility of them bringing more numbers back and stuff, and have a different challenge to what we had in the past. So all the boys are up for it and ready for the task ahead.
Greg Newlands has chucked in there. Jarrah Vikings by 2 and Crammy by 30.
He's my favourite ginger, Greg. Loving the bits.
And that's definitely a 10-yard in on that one. Keith, should we just move on to what we're talking about before about the...
I think I would put my neck out and say, obviously, me and James will stay at the equation. Well, if me and James commented on the Cramlett and Catterick one, and then I'll let the other lads vice versa. And similar to what we're saying, I don't think there's going to be much in that game at all. Playing both teams at full strength, it's not one to call, I don't think. And I've got to be honest, I know Jarrah will be strong at the weekend. We're fairly strong this weekend as well. I don't think you can call them.
I just think it's big on the officials as well. I think they've got a big job to do this weekend, especially with a lot of discipline, as what I've seen at Catterick this year. A lot of discipline has gone out the window, and it's been a grind of physicality, and sometimes it gets on top of the officials sometimes. And I just think it's a big weekend for the officials to prove themselves that they can officiate this level of rugby, and that the Northeast can keep moving forward. And I think sometimes it could go down to the officials. One official call in the first 10 minutes can totally change a game, and I just hope that it's all good all round for the whole weekend. Everybody.
I agree with what you're saying there, Terry, but I'd also say it's the responsibility of the players as well to sort of act within the means. I know it's a big occasion, but not let the occasion get carried away and act differently like what you would on a. At times, I think the players put the referees in tough situations.
Totally.
If you don't give them an out at times, and they have to make a decision. That's not going to be popular, but they don't have a choice. They've got rules they've got to follow. The referee appointments are out. It's Catterick versus Cramlett versus Catterick has got Matty Lynn, and Jarrow versus Wallsend has got Kieran Taylor. So they're the referee appointments this weekend.
I think as long as the referee keeps kind of that management consistent, there's no arguments. I agree with you. The sidelines and the players have that element of management as well, just to make 2 good games.
Yeah, make it a good fair game all round.
Yeah, definitely. Just kind of moving on, I think, and not to take sort of anything away from the other teams. We've got 4 good teams there. We're just discussing before we come onto the show was someone I've discussed in further playing opportunities, and we're going to be looking at a representative Northeast team. I think now next year it's just too short notice. But what we are going to consider is North versus South, something the concept come about 5-6 years ago when we started, been really good. But also adding that third team in, and possibly fourth with Scotland, in making it more regionalised. So you'd have north of the Tyne, south of the Tyne, and south of the area. Which again, Jordan, you talk about what teams are available down there, the player pools which are available from Crownlet and Durham, 2 Durham teams, Yarm. Then you've got Gateshead, Jarrow, are what's strong as well. And then we've got Whitley Bay, Crownlet, and Wallsend. And then, like I say, it's a representative Edinburgh team. I think that would be a great series, whether it was a knockout or whether it was kind of played at each other's venues. Someone we should be looking at.
Absolutely.
James,
just on that one, I think a group of 4, you play everyone once, and you're the top 2 playing a final. Something like that could be really good. It could be monthly, and it could be on a Friday night or a Sunday, so it's not clashing with other commitments that people have. But you've got them, and it's a good split as well, with Cramlett and Whitley Bay and Wallsend being the north, the south being Jarrow, Durham, Demons, Gateshead, Storm, and the south of the region being your Tigers, your Yarm, Catterick, and your Hartlepool. That and then the Scotland side, because let's face it, it's not just Edinburgh. You've got the Glasgow, you've got Aberdeen. This could be a cracking tournament. Getting a bit of sponsorship behind it, and that just. There's no World Cup this year. There's no World Cup. It's been announced today. It's been pushed back to 2022. So can we actually? I'm not saying we're going to replace the World Cup by any stretch, but can we give people something to watch through their months and make some big events, some big occasions at Kingston Park? James, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea. It's something for the players to push towards, to take the rugby that step further. People who are wanting to get noticed by like academy, or people who are just wanting to take it that step further. I think it gives people like an experience of sort of like what professional rugby is about. If we get a coach to Edinburgh, I think that would be good. Putting a bit of food on for the boys after the game, stuff like that. Just sort of getting that sort of professional environment. Yeah, good idea.
Michael Houston just commented there. What about Cumbrian involvement? I think the thing with this is that, Keith, I'll put this one to you. What about expanding it out further? There's plenty of options, isn't there?
I think what we've based it on is the North East Association to the Rugby League, predominantly. However, there's no to say not inviting a Cumbrian select up, but I think again some next year. But you talk a good point, James. You talk about representative rugby, and Terry, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think there's players in majority of these clubs that we're talking about who have players capable of moving to that reserve grade, which is coming into play next year. Good opportunity, good win, good platform.
Yeah, totally. And I think if you look at the level of rugby league in the North East, as we've been saying, it's been getting better and better. So imagine bringing all them best players from each team together, get them a couple of training sessions together. Just think of the level of rugby league we then could have, the structure of rugby league we could have, and actually watch a proper game of rugby league. I think it could be just great.
I would love to. I would love to make sure we had just having, someone like yourself, James, Tom, young lads, fit, love the rugby league. You ain't saying there, getting a representative to have that pathway, to have that access to that window of opportunity. There's someone in it for me, and we've got some fantastic players at the end of the day. We're not being nasty, bringing in a higher level experience coach, having a higher experience, a more professional environment. It's got to have something about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, we'd spoke previous about, and we'd mentioned this to Dennis Betts and Eamon O'Carroll at the first team, and it's something they'd actually like to get involved with. If it's a bit of guest coaching, is it actually taking on a team for the series and having Betts versus O'Carroll or whatever, but they'd get on board and want to be involved, and I think that's important, getting the pro club involved as much as we can in this, and it integrates that in. Just one thing I like to talk about as well is that the North East Awards night. We've got a date for that on Friday the 24th of September. It's a cracking night. Nominations have been sent out to all. Well, the applications have been sent out to all clubs to get the nominations in. So just a nice plug there to try. Let's fill a room and celebrate, because it's been an outstanding season across the board. And for competition for player of the season, I don't think there's been I don't think there's been a harder season to pick. I could list 10, 15 players that I could actually nominate for player of the season, and there's been ones at every single game we've played. There's been a player that I think could make a rep side. Definitely.
I'd go with Matty Docky from Jarrah. He's known as 3-3, but I think he's really, really strong competition with guys like I think I forget Tom Captain for Catterick, for Crampton.
Tom Shorter.
Yeah. Tom Hughes have got some guys, in my opinion, who have got just phenomenal. And they've gone through a system, some of them come through the system, haven't quite made it, but have now got a platform to go make it again, I think. Terry, you talked about lads coming from across the UK and playing and applying in the Northeast. So, I think these lads, if we can be seen as a positive step forward into the professional game, it would be great.
Totally. So I just seen that comment of the Northeast NCL team. The only sort of thought I have on that is if the level of rugby in the Northeast League is getting better and better, if you create that Northeast NCL side, would that take all the best players, bring them together, make a strong NCL side, but then would that cut this league off at the knees? Would it take all them? Would it take this, the great competition we've had this year? Would it take that away? What's your thoughts? What do you?
I think personally, we need to There's two areas, if we're going to be totally brutally honest about things. If a player wants to go and play at a higher standard, I would encourage it. If that team he goes to isn't reciprocating and saying, well, okay, send him back to his junior club or send him back to his club, that's when you start to have issues. If people aren't working together, if people want to kind of create a monopoly of players, competition is irrelevant then, because if you have one superior team, it doesn't do anything. There's no benefit to the opposition. There's no benefit to the club. Going around, you're whipping a team the players who are in that then go to a higher grade pool and cannot sustain that because they haven't got the mental capacity to do it, the playing capacity to do it, and they understand how to do it. So you can reduce it. However, I'm going to totally contradict myself. An NCL team, for me, would come through a regional team generated via the Origin series, the North versus South series, and then getting to essentially populating the reserve grade properly, and that maintains the integrity of the club's relationships, and it maintains that pathway through to professional rugby league. I get the idea. I think it could be done, but there's so many political barriers that are in the way. They have to be managed properly. So my opinion might change next year, but I agree with you, Terry. I agree with you massively. I think do we take away the integrity at the minute of the strength of our league to compensate on one team, or do again, as players come out, players come to the region, players progress, the stay in our league? And I think that at the minute is the right thing to have.
Yeah, some good points there. Some good points. Tom, what's your thoughts on the NCL question?
I see both sides to the argument, really. But going back to what we said at the start, I think it would massively take away from what has been a great season and moving forward with the amateur clubs. And I think it'd take away quite a bit. But it's something to think about, because obviously Storm not being a team anymore, not competing. The North East need a team in the NCL.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's about giving that opportunity it's that correct playing level as well. That you're asking kids we're asking players that could jump out of the North East community game straight into some reserves. I think just having that, I think Storm competing in the NCL was a positive. And I think clubs all, rallied around and helped them out. Mitchell went for a good few years there, and after Wall's End, sent a couple of Jarrah, sent some. It's good, and I think we do need a team competing in the NCL, and we've got to work together. There's another question, another comment coming from Patrick here. Is there going to be two divisions? And I think this is a really important one. Something I would really push for would be to bring back the second division in the North East. So having a first division of Cramlington, Jarrow, Wallsend, Edinburgh, Demons, Catterick, and possibly Hartlepool, you can play everyone home and away, and they're 7 close teams with good games. And then you look at the likes of a Cramlington second team, a Wallsend second team, a Yarm, a Tigers, a Whitley Bay, the Friarage Falcons, that new side, and any other new teams that want to get involved. I think it's, big scores don't do anything for either team, and it would be interesting to get people around the table on that.
Yeah, I also think that it'd be a good idea because you'd probably get more teams interested in joining leagues, especially if there's a promotion and relegation. I think that's always something you don't. Obviously, you want to dodge relegation, but you want promotion. Or if you're in that Division 1, you want to win that league. And I think it just gives the players a bit more. I don't know what the word is. A bit more like
incentive.
Yeah, a bit more incentive to stay at their club, make their club the best that it can be, and get to the point they want it to be at.
Can I throw a curveball in? A couple of years ago, when I was at Newcastle, the league actually split. So you created an incentive on that, say, bottom 6 teams into a separate league. And again, I'll go back to what I was saying before. I would love to, but I think sometimes we need to have is it realistic to do that, or are we going to then dilute what we've actually got again? So as we look up, we've also got to look down. And I think for me, there would be that question made if we have enough players to commit to 2. We thought we would this year. We thought Wallsend would have 2 competitive teams, got a lot of interest, and then all of a sudden it pulled away. And we committed to that. It seemed like Gateshead Storm having the NCL team's great, but understand why Gateshead Storm didn't quite succeed. We had COVID issues, we had, financial issues, we had, players and coaches moving on. There was a big gap. For me, it's not a reset button. It's a case of realistically add the value to where we are at the minute and then grow it. But I think if we were going to consider this, the split might be the sort of intermediate sort of option to say, top 6, bottom 6, play each other once or twice, then top 6. Which I'm just throwing out there. I think I'm just conscious of what we've got now and making sure, because I feel as though in the past the RFL have changed things, never been continuity. When there's no continuity and it changes each year, you're always
we're going in the right direction here, aren't we? And changing something could just off once again. So I agree with you there as well.
James, I don't know what you think. Is it someone we'll look at, or do we?
I think it could be, but I agree with the comment from Dave that's just came up. I think home and away games would be really good for I think the season is a bit short. I think home and away games for me would be at the minute a bit more what we need.
The thing is with that, the home and away, in an ideal world, it'd be great. We have got a window, and traditionally that summer window being May to August is to fit around the rugby union season. Let's be totally honest. Now, as more rugby league clubs, I think what you could then do is how you pad that season out at either end with opportunities, and I think the rep stuff pads it out to the end. I don't know if anyone else can remember the Harry Jepson Cup that used to be on. So the winners of the North East used to then go on and play in another competition, which would extend their season on. Do we look at other events through the calendar? Like, do we bring back the Magic Weekend that we used to have at Kingston Park, where all the teams would play at one venue? Is that an additional round? Do we look at nines? Do we look at nines as well as a 9 series at the start? Is a bit of a precursor to the season. So that means that if you had a 4-week 9 series with a finals day, it's a good way of having pre-season games. But then lads that do want to play a longer season get that opportunity to do that as well.
Aye. There's loads of options in there. There's loads of options, I think, which is awesome. What did you jump onto before we started completely digressed? North versus South games this weekend. Can we just touch upon the World Cup? And that might be a bit controversial. But what's people's thoughts on that?
Well,
Probably think it's probably one of the right decision. With obviously Australia and New Zealand not being a part of it, I think it just take away from the whole experience of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think they've made the right call. I think there's a great team working on the World Cup. It was geared up to be a quality event, but you can't play without Australia, can you? And like, look, you can see it from their point of view, and you know the restrictions, and they would just wait a year to make the event even bigger and better next year, because I think it can be.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a hollow victory, wouldn't it, without New Zealand and Australia there? I think it'd be.
I think it loses a lot of value, but again, you think about it. There's like the commercial element to it. There's the ticket value, the food, everything that comes on the back of that. You know, it has a massive knock-on effect. And if you're not filling a stadium or if you've paid for tickets and I'm not going now because Australia aren't going, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? It is a big thing, and we've got to put our hands up sometimes and put our big boys' pants on. NRL is a big product, and it's dictating a bit, you know. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that one in there.
The big one for next year is it does clash with a lot of other things, like the FIFA World Cup, and like that's just on a different level to anything else, isn't it? So you're going to have to look at with that Winter World Cup is bringing it to, even if we bring it forward a couple of weeks, just to not clash with that, because you're not going to get any airtime on any media when the FIFA World Cup's on. But no, that's great. Well, look, guys, I think that's been a really good one tonight. I think we'll call it there. Just a big one, fella. Just for anyone watching at home, try and get to support a local team this weekend. Get down either down to the CLV for Crampton Catterick or to Monkton Stadium for Jarrow Wallsend. There'll be 2 belter games, and we'll be back next week with a special preview show for the final for the 2 lucky teams that are going to get there.
Just before we go, Tom, can you hear us all right? Tom, can you hear us? Whereabouts? Can you hear us? Oh, he's gone off. Oh, he must have done. I know he's coming back. 2 seconds. Tom, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, mate. Whereabouts are you at the minute? Just Newcastle?
Yeah, just in Newcastle. Yeah, I literally finished work about 6:30. 6 o'clock, sorry.
Do you see the shop behind you?
Yeah.
If you go in there and ask the lady behind the counter who's going to win the Jarrow Wallsend game, I'll give you 30 pence.
Go in, Tom. Go on.
No.
You're a student man, you'll do it. Go on, put the crack.
I'll honestly I'll get Jordan to get you a pint or something.
We'll not end the show until you do it. Come on.
Yes. And also the Carrick game.
Well, are they even going to know what's going on here?
Yeah, of course we will. Big thing.
Massive.
Aye. Ask him if you know who James McGurk is.
It's real busy at the bar.
Even better. Go on, Tom, honestly. See if you can put sort of a Swedish accent on as well.
It's not happening.
Oh,
Nah, there's queues massive at the bar.
Fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you. Good lad.
Right. Anyway, thank you to all the guests tonight. All right, so we'll see everybody same time next week. All right, cheers.
Cheers, fellas. All the best this weekend.